Today's episode of Within the Lines contains spoilers to the new movie Avengers Endgame. If you've not seen the movie yet and do not want to get it spoiled, then
What you doing here?
exactly.
You read the title. You know what we're talking about.
Exactly. So make sure you watch the movie, get back to us, and see if you agree with us, because we're doing a comprehensive, full, might be a 2-hour, might be a 3-hour, might be a 10-minute review. We'll see.
We're going in deep.
Let's get into this.
30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown!
High fly ball into right field. She is gone.
I don't feel so good.
Hulk! Smash!
They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes.
We are about 15 hours removed from seeing the movie that we've been waiting for an entire year, Avengers Endgame. And
I still haven't stopped crying.
Tyler still hasn't stopped crying.
We're stuck open at this point.
Initial impression, for those that have also seen it, obviously, spectacular.
Great movie, not perfect.
I was trying to think of like a nice 2 or 3 word review. I was going to say spectacularly imperfect. I don't know if that makes sense, but that was what came to my head.
Overly amazing.
Overly amazing. A little too amazing where it didn't make sense at times.
They gave a little bit too much love to the fans,
Which I'm fine with.
which is great. It made it a fun to
I'm a
watch
fan,
movie, but
yes.
it did make issues and plot holes.
Yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, it was great. It was a cultural experience. Even if you're not a big fan of the MCU, just being in that theater with a lot of people who love the movie and just experiencing something that's unlike anything that's ever really graced traditional cinema. It's astounding. It's amazing.
Absolutely. It was fucking awesome to be a part of, to see that theater with a line out the door in a time where there's reserved seats. It's not like people are getting there trying to buy their tickets.
Oh, yeah. Showing up like 30 minutes early when your ticket's already bought.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was spectacular, man. I mean, I got chills the opening scene, and I just, throughout the whole movie, it didn't feel like 3 hours. It didn't.
Oh, it powered through those 3 hours.
It did. It really did.
It carried.
I feel like there was one point in the movie where I thought it was a little drag, but I don't really remember it now, so.
Yeah. There's a couple of parts that, I mean, they were, 10-minute scenes that dragged.
Yeah.
At most.
Yeah. And it was just, it's not the same movie as Infinity War, not even. I mean, I saw a review, we actually read it on the last episode of the podcast, where Infinity War was the bronze and this was the brains. I mean.
Oh, 100%.
This only really had one big action scene at all, if you really think about it. I mean, one big one and then like maybe 1 or 2 minor ones.
Yeah.
But nothing like Infinity War where the whole movie was pretty much an action scene.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I mean,
but that action scene, though.
oh, it was spectacular.
It was probably the best action scene of the entire MCU.
So, I don't even know where to start. I mean, the start of the movie felt like the end of Infinity War. So we start off, you see Hawkeye with his family, and they all dust from the snap. Pretty poor luck that half the people in the universe get snapped away and your entire family.
Everyone's got a 50-50 chance, and 4 of the people died.
Ant-Man's whole crew and
Hawkeye's
whole crew faded. Like, that's pretty bad odds.
It's not good.
So that's the opening of the movie.
Absolutely could have been an end credit scene for Infinity War.
It could have been, but
they just saved it for opening before the sequence.
An emotional opening sequence. One thing I like that I kept a note while I was watching the movie that I wanted to touch on, that opening scene when Hawkeye's like running looking for his family. I don't know if you picked up on this, but it was like the cameraman was running with him and the camera was like shaking, like as he was running.
Really?
Yeah, it was like when you watch Cops and the cameraman's running and the camera's shaking. They didn't use like a level camera for that scene. He was running down the hill
his shoulder,
and you could see the camera bouncing, and I thought that was a good way to kind of show the emotion of the scene without people even noticing it. Yeah, but I noticed.
A human thing. That's that top level cinema stuff right there, Jay.
And then I don't know, did the title credits come in after that or a little later?
No, I want to say they came in right after that. No,
I don't remember when the title credits came in.
It might have been after they killed Thanos.
Yes, so they killed Thanos. Most of the scenes we saw from the trailer happened in the first 5-10 minutes of the movie.
But some of them took place at the very end, though.
Yeah, it was like the very beginning and the very end.
Yeah.
It was the early stuff, though. The early stuff we saw, besides them like walking in the hangar, that was all like the first 5 minutes of the movie. So, which is kind of like what I predicted beforehand, is like not everyone, but people thought the whole movie was going to be against Thanos, and Thanos did come back. But
the whole movie was against Thanos.
But it wasn't the same So they went to his little island. You know, Captain Marvel finds Tony and Nebula, brings them home. They kind of rushed that opening sequence a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't even explain that they were like, she already showed up to the Avengers thing at that point, and they said, hey, Tony's missing.
Yeah.
We need him. And then she goes and gets him.
Yeah.
It's you kind of just have to imply it, I guess.
Yeah, but I understand why they rushed that point because they wanted to get into the whole storytelling, and they were already at 3 hours. But you figure 5-10 minutes into the movie, at most, they go to Thanos, they catch him off guard, Captain Marvel messes him up, and then Thor cuts off his head.
He aimed for the head.
And then I think that's when the title credit happens, and then on the screen, 5 years later, the whole crowd was like, "What?" And that was something we kind of saw coming too, so I wasn't too shocked by it.
I was thinking like 2.
Yeah, I
years
wasn't
later.
thinking 5, and that kind of created a problem that we'll talk about later with the end of the movie and the repercussions for the franchise after. And then it fast forwards, and it's just a world of shambles. Cap is a leader of a support group. Did you notice the guy who was talking to him was Russo?
Yeah, it was one of the Russo brothers who actually did like a little speech thing.
Did you also catch that he was saying he was gay? It was supposed to be like a gay...
Yeah, he's going out on a date with a guy.
Yeah, that was a good moment.
I will say this movie had a couple of very, hey, look, we're politically correct moments.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with it, but it felt a little forced. And I'm okay with the moments, but it did feel a little forced.
Backlash for Tyler confirmed.
I'm saying I'm cool with it. It just felt a little forced. Make it more organic.
So they're trying to figure out, what they're going to do. And then Captain Marvel, they have like a little meeting with the people. And Captain Marvel's like, hey, I got to help other planets. Probably not going to see you for a while. And that kind of implies she's not going to be in the rest of the movie, which she really wasn't till the end of the movie, which was fine because this movie was about everyone that came before it, not who's coming after. Mm-hmm. And then, Ant-Man comes out of the quantum realm. Shout out to that rat, man.
The rat was the MVP of the whole fucking universe.
Just steps on the freaking return button.
Which, very, very coincidental that it was turned off and the rat just so happened to, hey, we're going to turn it on, hit the right button in a very high-tech quantum thing. It just so happens that he, brings Ant-Man back from the quantum realm.
Yeah, and then, that was another thing that was kind of predicted beforehand. A lot of predictions for this movie kind of came true. Yeah. Which I don't know what that says about the movie itself.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff people saw coming and actually predicted
happened,
it. Yeah.
Ant-Man comes out later and then, meets up with them, tells them about the quantum realm. They go to Tony. Tony started a family, has a daughter now, doesn't want to do it, but then thinks about Peter Parker, wants to do it suddenly, figures out time travel in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, and the same day he figures out, it's kind of implied it's that same night.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we want to do time travel. Okay, let me go kind of fuck around in my, office. Oh, figured it out.
So, and then there's the scene with Professor Hulk and at the lunch taking pictures with Hulk and everything, Mark Ruffalo. My hot take for you, Ty, I don't really like Professor Hulk. I did not like Professor Hulk in this film.
I thought it was just thrown in there. It was like, okay, yeah, we're Professor Hulk now. After it was such an issue in the first one, he does a little monologue like, oh, I just kind of agreed with him.
Yeah.
Thing. But like, show me something.
Yeah, I mean, and he didn't Hulk out at all.
No, he's not Hulk anymore. He's just Big Banner.
Which is kind of like
lame.
Disappointing, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
and they actually played into that later in the movie, how he's not Hulk anymore, smashing and...
Yeah. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
It honestly, I mean, it was cool having like Banner in the movie instead of just a gruntled green guy. And maybe they figured people are sick of seeing just the
I'm not.
crazy green guy. Yeah, I'm not. It would have been awesome to see Hulk. Even if the last scene, dude, they could have kept the same Professor Hulk story the whole movie, and then in that final fight scene, Hulk kind of like takes over and he just starts smashing everything, and Banner's like, "What am I doing?" You know what I mean? Like as he's smashing stuff, kind of like a out of body moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the body kind of takes over, and I would have been fine with it. I would have been like, okay, that's something. But no, it's just
or it's kind of like
Banner.
a transition into Hulk, but him not transitioning all the way back to Banner. So like he can still go into full Hulk mode and smash and shit.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't go all the way back to Banner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was interesting.
It was different. They tried it.
I wasn't a fan of it.
I didn't hate it as much as it sounds like you disliked it.
Yeah.
But
I just loved
didn't
the Hulk.
love it either.
Hulk was always like Hulk and Spider-Man were like my favorites, and he wasn't in it, dude.
I think Thor Ragnarok Hulk is probably the best Hulk.
Yeah.
Make him to where he's a Hulk and he can talk and everything. so you can still communicate with them, not just, grunting smash. But still Hulk, where he just wants to fuck shit up.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But then they did all that, and then they tested the quantum realm. We don't have to go through every detail of the movie.
Yeah.
They go and get Ronin, Hawkeye, who's just killing everyone on a killing spree.
Yeah, and it showed
pissed off.
after his family died, War Machine's kind of hunting him down, trying to find him throughout the 5 years. He's killing drug lords, cartel, Japanese, mafia.
Yeah.
He's going through and just fucking wiping them out with the sword, like brutally killing people.
Yeah. And then he sees Black Widow, and they have their little moment, and then he's agrees to help him, I guess. I don't know. I'm saying that kind of weird.
He goes back to join the Avengers again to try and get his family back.
And then we got Thor. We got Fat Thor.
Fat Thor.
I've seen a lot of different reactions about Fat Thor. I've seen some people that love Fat Thor and some people that absolutely hate Fat Thor.
Not a fan.
Not a fan of Fat Thor.
Thought it was funny, but not a fan of it.
Why?
He's fucking Thor, dude. He's yoked. He's supposed to be, the strongest Avenger. And I like that they did it for a comedic thing.
Yeah.
But he was still fat the rest of the movie when it wasn't comedic.
Yeah.
And then they had the scene later on where there's oh, I'm Thor again. And he does the lightning, and he's still got the long hair and everything. They braided it. It's supposed to look serious, and it still looked funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand how he got fat. He's like a god. I'm pretty sure he's been drinking beer his whole 1,000-year life. But we got the best scene of the movie in that scene, in my opinion. Maybe not the best scene, but my personal favorite scene. We got Korg. Korg was in the movie.
Meek.
Finally, I was so happy when he came on screen. I cheered and everything. Just playing some Fortnite, doing what Korg is meant to do. Playing some Fortnite,
hanging out in a Hawaiian shirt, playing some Fortnite.
Has Thor get on the mic and threaten a kid who's being mean to Korg.
I couldn't hear the beginning, but it was something 69 was the kid's username.
Yeah, it was something Daddy 69 or something like that, or something game.
Thor's I'll fly to your house and fucking fuck you up or whatever.
Yeah, and then puts Korg back on the mic, and Korg's just thank you, Thor. All nonchalant. One thing I noticed, I don't know if Korg was massive in this movie or if Banner was just tiny, because there was a scene where Banner was talking to Thor and Korg was in the background, and they were the same size.
I think it's implied that Hulk's a little smaller now.
But even when they were in New York, it looked like he might have been the same size as the other Hulk, which is why I was a little confused.
Korg's always been big, though.
Yeah, but I feel in Ragnarok, Hulk was way bigger. I could be wrong, but I'd have to look at the Ragnarok picture of them on the ship. That'd be the best way.
They might have changed it a little bit.
Yeah.
Scaling wise. But yeah, right before that we saw Valkyrie and the Asgardians are living on Earth now.
In Scotland or Norway?
Yeah, somewhere in Europe.
Norway.
It's called New Asgard, which actually is from the comic books, I want to say.
Really?
I think so. But they all move and live on Earth now that Asgard's destroyed.
So that was cool. I mean, Valkyrie gave, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, gave Valkyrie the right to own.
Valkyrie's the new
king of Asgard. I wonder what that's going to turn into. I don't know. Is she going to do movies or is it going to be a TV show? Because I know they're trying to branch out to a lot of TV shows.
Well, I was
with Disney Plus.
I'll save it for later.
You save it for later?
Yeah, let's keep talking.
Okay, and then what happened after that? After they recruited them, they just went on. They talked about their mission,
and then they broke up into teams.
Then did the mission.
Yeah, and so they basically split up and said, if we go back in time using the quantum realm and everything, 3 stones are in New York at the same time. So we'll send a team to get those 3 stones. There's 2 stones in outer space, the Power and the Soul Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Aether was the other one.
Yeah, from Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah. And so they all split up into teams. It's Hulk, Captain America, Iron Man, Ant-Man go to New York.
Yeah.
War Machine, Nebula.
War Machine and just Nebula, just them 2.
Yeah, go to get the Power Stone.
Yes.
Which is the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the very opening scene with Peter Quill, dancing, getting the orb. And then Hawkeye and Black Widow go to get the Soul Stone.
Yep. And each had their own journey. I think the biggest one was the New York one.
Yeah.
They got 2 stones. They had Cap pretending to be a Hydra secret agent, stealing the staff from the scepter from the Hydra people who originally took it.
And they kind of do it because you haven't seen Winter Soldier, but in that, it's the fight scene in the elevator where it's exactly that same
I think I've seen that scene, yeah.
Well, it's the exact same kind of setup where
I thought
Captain
that
America,
similar.
Yeah, Captain America goes in the elevator and he's surrounded by people and he fights everyone. Well, in this one, he's like, oh, I'm going to need that briefcase.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, he's a Hell Hydra. So he doesn't do it. So everyone was expecting another elevator fight scene.
Yeah.
He completely flips the script.
And then we had Thor. Excuse me. We had Hulk talking to the Mystic one. I keep forgetting her name. Mystic one, right?
Ancient one.
Ancient one. I called her the wise one. Now the Mystic one.
It's just something.
That's where they kind of explain the whole timeline thing of how these stones work in the timeline, and they timeline jump. Still creates some issues that me and Tyler actually had a pretty lengthy debate before the podcast about.
It was a pretty good one.
Would have been good for the. I think we admitted that I won the debate though. So,
agree to disagree.
you just said you were going to change on your podcast just to argue.
I did not say that.
You said you were going to reset on the podcast.
Nope.
So they get that stone and they mess up the Tesseract. They're trying to they give Tony like a little heart arrhythmia, and then they drop the briefcase, and then Tony's supposed to pick it up. The current Tony's supposed to like pick up the briefcase, walk out, and as he's walking out, you have Hulk, who they forced to take the stairs on the Stark Tower because he was too heavy for the elevator.
This is 2012 Hulk.
And Hulk goes down the stairs and then opens the door all pissed off and then hits Tony, and the Space Stone goes to Loki, and Loki uses it to teleport off, which is probably setting up his Disney Plus show.
So he's dead in the actual MCU, but in this new timeline,
he's alive, and
he disappeared after the Battle of New York. Didn't get sent back to Asgard. Wasn't a prisoner into the Dark World.
So none of that stuff happened. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a completely different time.
Which makes me wonder if Thor or anything's going to be in that series. Probably not. I'm assuming.
I would think not.
I wonder. It'll be interesting what they do with that.
Yeah.
One thing I just noticed about that whole Hulk going down the stairs storyline, that was like a really convenient thing for them to write in for Tony to lose the stone, because, I mean, correct me, Hulk jumps from building to building. Why would he take the stairs?
Yeah, he could have just jumped out of
the front of the building. He could have jumped out of the building and just been perfectly fine.
He probably would have damaged more things doing that. And they're like, hey, we're not fighting anything anymore. Don't fuck anything else up. Take the stairs.
You think 2012 Hulk's going to listen to that?
Probably not. But
it's kind of a little bit convenient. And then we also got a Captain America versus Captain America fight, which kind of confused me. But
well, Captain America thought Captain America
was
Loki.
Yeah, it was Loki. So
because Loki can, change how he looks.
Yeah.
So then they fought each other.
Yeah.
For the staff, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty badass.
It was a good scene. It was like one of the few action scenes before the main action scene.
It was. And it was just Captain America fighting Captain America.
Older Captain America wasn't as good, though. I noticed, young Captain America won the fight. If you tallied up the punches and everything, it'd be a pretty decisive victory for young Captain America.
Probably. He beat his ass. Him up. Yeah. And one of them, he had his Captain America mask on. The other one didn't.
Yeah.
So you could tell who's who. Didn't get confusing. But I think he got his ass beat. And then he kind of saved himself with the Mind Stone.
Well, he said he was young Captain America had him in a chokehold, and he told him Bucky's still alive, because young Captain America didn't know that at the time, and he was like, "What? What'd you say?" And then he used the stone to
go to sleep.
Yeah, go to sleep. So,
Loki's staff.
Yeah,
that's what he used for that.
I wish we would have saw a Hulk, Professor Hulk versus regular Hulk fight scene. That would have been kind of cool, but
yeah,
Banner just getting fucked up by himself or whatever, and then they have to do something to get him away from him.
Yeah,
they Tony has to walk in. Hey man, calm down, or something. I don't know how they would do. That's probably why they didn't do it, because it wouldn't have made sense. But it would have been funny.
That would have been great.
Just Banner this is what you deal with, to the Hulk, just beating the shit out of him, getting mad at his current Hulk, why are you beating the shit out of me, kind of deal.
Well, I do like how they're sitting there and they come in and it's Professor Hulk, so he's smart now, and actual person. You just see Hulk come in, just blatantly destroy shit right in front of him, and he gets all embarrassed. He's like, oh fuck.
So they mess up their Tesseract, so then they go back to 1970. They say they only have enough Pym particles for one trip, so they go back to 1970 at a military base where there is the Tesseract and there's also Pym, so they can steal Pym particles at the same time. Tony has a nice little run-in with his dad. We're going a little out of order based on the movie. I'm just trying to stick to the one.
It's the same area though. Yeah.
So has an interaction with his dad. That was a little bit of a whoa. It was a cool moment, I thought.
Yeah. He talked to his young dad. It was actually the day he was born.
Yeah.
They went back to Tony's birthday, basically, which... another kind of issue. Why the fuck are you going back in time to your birthday and not knowing it's your birthday?
Exactly. I don't know if they were saying it was his birthday, maybe just saying it was close to his birthday, but still, yeah, you would... he was caught off guard.
His dad had flowers because his wife was going into labor.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just trying to be a good husband. I didn't realize that. Yeah, that is like you're caught off guard by it. He told Cap the date to go too. It wasn't like he was like.
He's like, oh, go to this day, and it's like, oh my god, what?
Yeah,
I'm being born today.
That is, it's confusing with the whole. Like you said, we talked about the whole time parallels. But if that is the same, let's just say that's the same universe as their current universe. That the last person Tony's dad talked to before Tony was born was older Tony. That's a major whoa. But he gets that, and then Captain America gets the Pym particles. He sees, who is it? He saw
Peggy.
Why did it say Margaret? Is that her real name? On the door it said like Margaret something. What's Peggy's last name? I always want to say Sue.
Carter.
Yeah, it said Margaret Carter, I thought, on the door. Like, of her office.
Maybe that's like her official name or something?
That's why I was confused. I thought it was Peggy, but then I thought it said Margaret.
I just saw Carter.
Yeah. That's why I was
and then
confused.
she walks into the office and, Captain America sees her through like the blinds or whatever. Really thought he was going to fuck up everything and just stay there. Thought right then Captain America would be like, fuck it.
But he didn't. He was a smart guy.
He's a good guy.
What else did we have? We had The Other Journey, Nebula, and War Machine. That one was... We'll save that one. We'll do Thor and Raccoon. That one was probably the most boring, I guess.
Yeah, Fat Thor was basically an alcoholic through this. He was fucked up drunk because he was upset that he failed.
Yeah.
Kind of going through...
PTSD.
Kind of PTSD. And letting himself go get fat drinking. And so he goes back to the Dark World where Jane Foster, who actually makes an appearance in this movie.
Yeah, Natalie Portman
was in it. She had the Aether in her. So they go back to get that stone.
Yeah.
And while they're doing it, Thor sees his mom, who died that day in the movie. And he's drunk, so he fucks it up. He has no confidence or anything. And he goes and talks to his mom before she dies.
Yeah. Well, I think she walked up to him.
Yeah, she catches him. He's like hiding behind a pillar. Yeah. And, they talk. Rocket goes and gets the stone by himself.
Yeah.
He just waits till Jane's like wakes up or something. She gets out of bed or
tases her or something.
Yeah.
Takes it out of her.
So that's how that one happened. And then the two in space. There was War Machine and Nebula.
And then
Hawkeye and Black Widow.
That one was, they went over to the Soul Stone Island. Vormir.
Yeah.
See Red Skull, he tells them the whole sacrifice thing, and they have like a fight scene of who's getting sacrificed. And
so, one tries jumping off, the other one tries jumping off.
Yeah.
Immediately saw it coming when they sent them to space, too.
Oh, yeah, I figured one of them, obviously, if they're going to go get the Soul Stone, one of them's going to die. I did not see Black Widow actually dying. I really didn't.
You thought Hawkeye was going to die?
Well, because I knew the Black Widow movie was coming. I didn't know it was a prequel, so I was just like...
So that one kind of caught you off guard. You thought for sure it was going to be Hawkeye?
Yeah, like when he did that running jump off the ledge, I thought that was it. I was like, okay, Hawkeye's about to die. And then she like caught him and everything. And then she was hanging on the bottom. I was like, oh my God, she's actually about to die right now. And then she did. And I was like, what the hell?
Yep.
He actually killed her.
She's actually dead. No coming back.
Yeah.
She doesn't show up in the end of the movie like she's dead.
Yeah. She's super dead.
And then somehow Hawkeye can hold the Soul Stone, which was an issue we had.
Yeah, one of the big points in past movies is that normal people can't just hold the Soul Stone, or like just the stones in general.
The Power Stone nearly killed Peter Quill and the Guardians. The Space Stone sent Red Skull to space.
Yeah.
The Aether was killing Jane Foster.
Yeah. Well, I think the Aether, whatever. I think didn't he have it in like a little capsule thing?
Well, I'm saying in the Dark World.
No, I'm saying Rocket, though. I think when he took that, he had it like in a little capsule.
Yeah, I'm just saying in past movies, if someone was touched or like holding them, it's killing them.
Yeah.
In this one, they kind of had no problem holding them.
I guess you could say maybe because they're from a different reality, so those time stones in that reality don't affect their current reality. But then that doesn't make sense. Never mind. So that happens. And then the biggest one that sets up the fight scene, you have Nebula and... War Machine go to...
Peter Quill getting the orb at the beginning of Guardians.
What was the name of the planet? Do you remember?
Morag?
Morag, yeah.
Yeah.
And they knock Peter Quill out, take his key.
I think War Machine calls him an idiot or something. Yeah. It was a funny little scene.
And then gets the stone, and while that's all happening, Nebula's like frequency is getting intercepted by that time's Nebula, and it's showing Thanos that the Avengers from the future are coming back to undo what that Thanos did, and he's like, oh, we got to stop him, whatever. I mean, they kind of should have saw that coming. Maybe don't send Nebula to... I guess they didn't know that the same frequency would have happened.
Yeah, they didn't know she was going to connect.
Maybe just send like Rocket and War Machine.
Yeah.
But
Well, I think no matter what, if you send her back in time where Nebula was with Thanos.
well, but if she's on Asgard, I don't think. I don't know. Maybe there is like a frequency thing. I don't know. It was an interesting way though to write it in.
Yeah, it worked for me. I was fine with it.
Yeah. So then they capture current day Nebula and they're like torturing her, and then past Nebula gets her little like orange headpiece thing, puts it on her thing, and then she goes back.
Kind of in
posing.
disguise.
Yeah.
And she's still evil back then, working, trying to please
Yeah.
Thanos. Yeah, and so then they all show back up at Avengers HQ
Yep.
with all 6 stones.
They do the snap. Hulk snaps.
Which, another issue we had. Supposed to be like fancy metal for the gauntlet
Yeah.
to hold all the stones and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
All of a sudden, Iron Man's armor can just hold it. They're just
It's
like, yeah,
special
cool.
armor, bro. I guess.
I guess
Yeah.
so.
They make a gauntlet out of Iron Man's hand,
Mm-hmm.
and then Hulk snaps. He barely can do it. Almost dies doing it. Snaps back half the universe, and then right when that happening, Scott Lang's looking out the window and just gets wrecked by Thanos because Nebula. This is another thing. Nebula opened the portal so Thanos' like ship could come in.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it just the one small ship though? Because that was another thing that didn't make sense to me. Is like she let the one small ship come in from the portal from the past, and then instantly they shot the portal and destroyed the portal. How did all the other things come too?
No, she opened up a portal for the Sanctuary, his giant ship.
Was it his giant ship?
Yeah, it was his
I thought it
giant
was just
ship.
a small ship.
Well, it started off small because that's how the quantum realm works. You're small and then you get big.
Yeah.
So it started off small and then it blew through the roof of the HQ and got huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they destroy HQ, and then what? They're all scrambling. Raccoon's like not choking.
Yeah,
drowning.
they're
That
on the
was
bottom
sad.
floor, drowning, almost dying.
Hulk's holding them up. Ant-Man had to save them, turn into Giant Man.
Which is what we saw in the trailers where he's like jumping off the pencil and everything.
Yeah.
He goes down and then gets big to like make space for him.
Hawkeye finds the gauntlet, has to outrun like the Thanos killer dogs, whatever they are. Why'd you point at me, Ty?
Because there's a scene with that later on that I think we need to talk about and do some research.
Okay.
Look back.
So that happens. He kind of outruns them, kills them, slices their heads off or whatever. And then what else was happening? Oh, Nebula finds Hawkeye, and then it's the other Nebula with Gamora, and they have a little standoff. And then the bad Nebula goes to shoot old Gamora, and then the current good Nebula shoots bad Nebula, which I guess since it's alternate realities, new Nebula doesn't die because like the whole time travel thing is like you kill your past self, you cease to exist, whatever. I'm willing to live with those results. And then you have the main fight scene from Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man fighting Thanos, getting their asses kicked. You have the cool scene where Thor wields both his weapons because he gets Mjolnir when he's in Asgard.
Yeah, when he goes back in time.
So he has Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and it's like this cool scene. His beard gets braided. He's like full of electricity. Kind of hurts Thanos at first, but then finally gets bested.
Yeah.
And then Thanos has the Stormbreakers pushing in his chest. He's about to kill him, and then you see Captain America throw the hammer at Thanos.
Mjolnir floats in the air and goes away from Thor.
Yeah. And then it's Captain America holding Mjolnir, which they teased 5 years ago, or whenever Ultron came out. Maybe not 5. It was like 4.
And then we see Captain America with his shield and Mjolnir.
Starting to fuck up Thanos. Didn't beat him, but...
Solid 45 seconds of just beating the shit out of Thanos. He's like kicking him, throws the shield, hits the shield with the hammer, electrocutes him, like full-on ass-kicking scene.
Thanos was very overpowered. Very, very overpowered, especially without the stones. I was like...
I thought that was a little bit like, I mean, they still beat his ass on certain things, but then there's other scenes where he seemed way too strong without any of the stones.
Yeah. So that all happens, but then Thanos starts kicking his ass and breaks part of his shield, and then it has the scene we saw in the trailer where he readjusts his shield and he's like ready to fight. And then the part that wasn't in the trailer, you hear Falcon saying, it was Falcon, right? Yeah, saying like...
He says, on your left.
Yeah.
Which is what, back in Winter Soldier, when he meets Falcon, they're running around the Washington Monument.
Uh-huh.
And, Falcon's jogging around as a normal dude, and Captain America keeps saying, on your left, because he's lapping him over and over again.
Oh.
So it's a callback to, like, the first time they met.
And then you see the Doctor Strange portal open, and you see Falcon and Spider-Man. Just everyone. There's so many different portals.
Every single person
Has been in the MCU.
Yeah.
All the wizards, all the Wakanda warriors, Everyone.
Space people like Thor and Valkyrie and all them.
Yeah. Korg was... Did Korg have an actual fight scene? He came in the battle, but I don't remember if I saw him fighting anyone. Riley said she did.
I think
There
he
was
had
a brief
one.
scene
Yeah, he
where-
had one brief scene where he fought somebody.
I missed it. I missed it.
Fuck.
Because I was like upset. I was like, why wasn't Korg in the final fight scene? She's like, he was. I was like, I know he was there, but they didn't show anything. And
Yeah.
so then they're all fighting, and it was a
I will
badass
say,
moment.
it was. Right before they all showed up, though, I thought it was fucking awesome because you see Thanos' entire army, the ships, the flying creatures. At that moment, Iron Man's knocked out, Thor's somewhere else, and it's literally just Captain America against everyone else.
He doesn't know people are coming.
Yeah, and he still stands up to be Captain America with, thousands of people across from him.
Yeah.
And then he gets all the help and everything.
That was an awesome scene. I
it's a
got
really
chills
bitchin'
when I
scene.
watched it.
Yeah.
Just everyone come through, and then...
And you see, yeah, like you said, it's just fucking portals everywhere and every single character in the MCU, like I asked for.
And then Spider-Man kind of explained how the dusting worked. He told Tony, like, oh, when I faded away, it was like, felt like 5 seconds, and then I came back, and
He's
Doctor
like,
Strange...
I must have passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange said it was 5 years in the future, and we had to go save you. Which is kind of convenient. Like, everyone just wakes up like, oh, it's 5 years. Oh, let's go help them. Like, how did every single person know that it was time to help?
It had to have been something Doctor Strange. They didn't really explain it. It was just everyone.
His sorcery, maybe, somehow.
Yeah.
Because how would, like, the people in Wakanda know? You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone... No one was there anymore from... Doctor Strange was, like, literally the only one that knew that was going to happen. So, But whatever, I'm willing to live with it. I didn't need 5 minutes of them explaining how Doctor Strange told everyone.
Yeah. And then there was a really good scene right after that, after he's talking to Stark. Like, he doesn't say anything and just comes over and hugs Parker,
that was
like
emotional.
Peter Parker. Yeah. I was like,
Very
ooh,
emotional.
right in the gut.
Probably started crying.
I got teary-eyed.
And then they have their bitchin' action scene. Just fighting. They have, like, Hawkeye running with the gauntlet. They're trying to get it into Pym's van.
So they can send the stones back to their own time.
And then it's kind of like a hot potato. I know Black Panther had it for a little bit, and then Spider-Man had it, and then...
So this is what I wanted to get at.
Okay.
They're all running through the battlefield with the gauntlet.
Yeah.
Whoever had Black Panther as their running back when we did our MCU things,
Uh-huh.
that's not a good look, bro. He fumbled that gauntlet and dropped it. I've seen him with one rushing
I picked
attempt and he fumbled.
Quicksilver, I think. Yeah, because I had, like,
So
Quicksilver.
I might have been fucked then.
One thing, why didn't they... Well, never mind. I just answered my own question. Never mind.
What's this?
I was going to say, why didn't they just snap then and there to get Thanos and his army to leave?
Oh, because it would have killed whoever.
What if Black Panther did it and the suit just absorbed the energy? Is the suit not that powerful?
That would have been insane. Probably not.
His suit just absorbs the energy and he's just like...
You just see him glowing like fucking...
And then he's just the Infinity Gauntlet. He's not Black Panther. He's like Rainbow Panther. The rest of the MCU.
That's super fucking politically correct.
Oh my god. So they're kind of juggling it. More action. You don't have to get through in depth on all the fight
Yeah,
scenes.
I think it was like Hawk scene gave it to Black Panther, gave it to Spider-Man, and they all just kind of passing it off.
Oh, they had a bitch and girls scene with all the girls, with Pepper Potts and Valkyrie.
Oh, well, right before that, Captain, there's Thanos says start firing down from above from the ship, and like is wiping out the battlefield with like missiles and shit. Captain Marvel shows up, single-handedly
blasts
just
through the
destroys
whole
his
ship.
fucking
Just
giant ship.
Doesn't even punch anything. Just flies through it and
It just
destroys
blows up to fucking hell.
Yeah.
And then she comes down and grabs the gauntlet,
it. Yeah. That's right.
and then there's the whole army in front of her, and Spider-Man's like, "How are you gonna get it over there?"
Yeah.
And then another fucking all-female scene where it's like she has help.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool moment.
And it was like Valkyrie, Scarlet Witch, not Black Widow,
Unfortunately.
but Pepper Potts in her rescue armor, which they teased earlier in the movie. She's now Rescue, the superhero.
Yeah.
I don't know. All the fucking chicks that have been in it.
Yeah.
Way more than Infinity War. Because Infinity War had like a smaller version of that.
Yeah.
This one was fucking everybody.
And then they mowed through everyone. There was the fight scene with Captain Marvel and Thanos, and Captain Marvel was like overpowering them. And then Thanos uses the Power Stone. Well, what happened? She fought him, and then he won.
Okay, so he had the gauntlet in his hand, and he went to snap it, and she grabbed his hand.
But I
and
think there was
opened it.
there was a fight scene before that, like a brief one where they encountered each other, and he got the best of her or something. Like she was beating the shit out of him, and then he hit her away, got the gauntlet, and then went to snap, and that's when she came back and stopped him from snapping. It was something like that, because I remember they fought briefly for like 3 punches at most, and then he like pushed her away, got the gauntlet, and then was about to snap, and that's when she came back in the scene. Like he fought with someone else maybe, then got the gauntlet, was about to snap. That's when she came back in the scene, stopped him from snapping and was like, he tried headbutting her and she just fucking ate it like a champ and was like about to beat the shit out of him, but then he pulled the Power Stone out of the gauntlet and then like blasted her with it.
Yeah, he grabbed it in his other hand and punched her with it in his other hand. So it was like the Power
That was a
Stone.
cool move. I like that.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty bitchin'.
And then he throws it back in the gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to snap again.
Well, goes to snap again, and what happens?
Tony runs up and like hits him, and then Tony gets hit away, like right away. Tony flies over to him to stop him from snapping it.
Yeah.
And then right away we see Tony get on top of Thanos, and Thanos throws him off.
Yeah.
Thanos snaps, nothing happens.
Oh yeah, because Tony switched him out somehow.
Tony, as he was over there, got all the stones.
No. The gauntlet was like chilling on the floor, wasn't it?
No, it was in his hand. It was after the Captain Marvel thing.
No, because I could have sworn there was a scene where it was chilling on the floor, and that's when he looked at Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange told him like the one possibility. That's when Tony knew that he had to like go stop him. Like Thanos picked it up and was about to snap or something.
You might be right.
Because there was like a slight delay. It wasn't like right away. He was like he beat Captain Marvel and he was about to snap. I think it fell off his hand or something.
Something happened, and then Doctor Strange and Tony make eye contact, and he says, there's one fucking way.
Yeah.
And so he was like, whatever, he said earlier, he's like, if I tell you what it like how it happens, it won't happen.
Yeah.
So he just looks at him, kind of hints at him like one fucking way.
Yeah. And then Tony, right when he's about to snap again, Tony goes up, does some quick sleight of hand magician. I don't know how he pulled that off.
He had to just like hit it with his suit and have the suit grab him or something.
Yeah, the nanotech or whatever.
Yeah.
Thanos snaps. I called it too. I told Riley, I was like, he's not going to have anything in it. He snaps, and then nothing was in. Well, I thought what Tony was going to do when he went over there. I thought because when Doctor Strange did one, I thought he was telling him one
just
Infinity
needs one stone.
I thought he was going to take one stone out of it. So when Thanos snaps, he's just like, what the heck, and then just gets like blasted by the Power Stone or whatever. And then they do the snap or whatever. But yeah, takes the gauntlet off from him. And then, because right before Thanos has the line, the I am inevitable, snaps and nothing happens. Finds out Tony has the gauntlet. And then Tony delivers the
heartbreaking I am Iron Man.
Which, it was dramatic. I loved it. But, like, you think Thanos would be, like, running at him or something? Like, because he paused. That was, like, a 10-second line. He's like, I am. And then, like, paused. And Thanos is just staring at him like...
Well, I think he's, like, frozen. Like, holy shit, he's wielding all the Infinity Stones. Because before that moment, I guess Hulk wielded all of them, too. But he's never seen anyone else do it. And so he kind of froze. Yeah. I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with it, too. I'm just nitpicking.
Yeah.
And then snaps, and then Thanos and all his people dust away, and then...
So, yeah, he snaps Thanos and his army.
And Thanos, and then Iron Man dies.
You see Iron Man all burnt up.
He's all burnt up. It was kind of sad, like funny sad, because like Spider-Man ran over. He's like, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me?" And Tony kind of just like ignored him, like I thought he was already dead. And then it was all sad, and I was like, "Oh, he's already dead." But then Pepper came over and he said something to Pepper, and I was like, "Oh, he's just fucking ignoring Spider-Man."
I think it's War Machine comes over because that's his best friend from the first movie, and then Spider-Man, and then Pepper. She says, "It's okay, you can rest now."
And he dies. With his eyes open, an eye-open death.
There goes Iron Man.
And there goes Tyler's water.
Oh, I was fucking bawling.
I was tearing up, too. It was a sad moment.
I was bawling.
And then...
Like, I was all right. When he was dying. I'm like, oh, fuck, he's dying. It's like, you can rest now. And I was like, oh, that boy dead.
And then they have the whole funeral scene. Everyone's there except Korg. Korg's on the hot seat, not showing up to the funeral.
Yeah, the fuck Korg.
Like, literally everyone was there except Korg.
All in suits and shit. One little person, everyone was confused. There's a blonde kid who looked like a teenager. It was the kid from Iron Man 3.
Yes.
Who helped him when he didn't have his suit and everything.
Yes. Did you also notice that Hawkeye, his family, they had an Asian kid next to him? Did you notice that? Yeah.
Did they really?
That was another... In the scene, it was Hawkeye's family, and standing right next to them was an Asian kid. And my... guess is maybe he adopted one of the kids that he killed, the guy he killed in Japan,
like one of his kids or something,
like the main guy where they were having the dialogue. Maybe that was his kid. So
I didn't notice that
or something. Maybe the kid was dusted, came back, and then they're going to explain that. Maybe that's laying the groundwork for the movie we talked about, the Shang-Chi or whatever his name is.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, ooh.
I probably is that. I didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Doing shit, but they go through the funeral. Everyone shows up. You see Maria Hill and Nick Fury finally show up. The only time they're in the movie.
Yeah.
And then they have like a little memory thing. And Tony they push out on the lake, and it's the original arc reactor
Yeah.
It's proof that Tony Stark has a heart.
Yeah, it was sad. It was
Fucking
a heart.
dead.
It was a tearjerker, man.
Oh, right before that too. Before they go on the quantum realm mission or whatever, Tony records himself basically.
Yeah, with the barf. Barf, is that what it was called?
No,
his
it wasn't.
technology.
It was the same thing we see in the trailer where he's just recording himself on his helmet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he just recorded himself.
And he was saying how like he hopes it was worth it and everything, and then he's like, "Wait, it's all gonna go as good. Why am I saying this?"
Everything's good.
And then says, "I love you 3,000" to his daughter because that's what the last thing she said to him before he left.
Fucking heartbreaking. Waterworks again.
Yeah,
Dead. I was
It
fucking
was
bawling
sad.
my eyes because he's all happy and everything. He's dead. They're
he's
at the
finally
funeral.
got what he wants.
And he's got this little 5-year-old daughter.
Finally gets what he wants, like a family, and then he sacrifices it for the greater good.
I'll start crying again.
We could talk about that in a second. Then you have the final scene with Captain America going back in time to replace all the stones. This is where we had our debate because he replaces all the stones, and it's the whole thing. Like, it's only going to take 5 seconds to. It's going to be however long he needs, and then but to us it's going to be 5 seconds. So they send him in the past.
It's
Wait
Hulk,
5
Bucky,
seconds.
and Falcon who are all waiting for him.
Wait 5 seconds. They go to bring him back. He doesn't come back, and then they see old man Captain America sitting on the bench. Gives Falcon, which I was surprised. I thought it was going to be Bucky. Gives Falcon the Captain America shield, so he's going to live on as Captain America.
Yeah, because Captain America's like at least 100 years old in
Yeah.
this scene. He's done. He's lived his life.
And this is where we had our debate because I brought up the point with the alternate timelines and everything. Like, how does he bring the stones back to different timelines, but then get old in this timeline? And then Tyler brought up a kind of good point, but then I brought up the point that in Winter Soldier, he has that scene where he talks to...
And I think that's the only scene that kind of ruins it.
Interesting. And the whole TV series with Peggy Carter.
That's what I'm saying.
But
They did the TV series with Peggy Carter where she has boyfriends and stuff. But the movie ends. We see him give the shield to Captain America. At the very end, it's like 1940 or whatever.
And
We
he's
see an old
dancing
car.
with her.
He gets his dance
And
with
then
Peggy.
fades away.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that the best way to fix that would be if they zapped him back 5 seconds later as an old man.
Yeah, so
like
he
he
came
lived
back
his life in that other reality.
exactly with Peggy in that reality. But instead, he doesn't get zapped back. He just shows up on a park bench. And I believe
sneaks his way over there.
yeah, I believe it's implied that he was alive the entire time.
For the whole MCU timeline.
He lived out his life, and there was 2 Captain Americas alive at the same time.
Yeah.
Is what it kind of implies. And he lived out his life and then gave him his shield.
And it's one of those classic, like, comic book. Doesn't really make sense, but since it's a comic book movie, we're just going to say it makes sense.
The only reason that 100, because we went back and forth on it, and we were doing good for a while, but the fact that Peggy sees young Captain America in, I think it's the Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
talks to young Captain America and, is like, oh my God, it's you.
Yeah.
And if it was the case that he went back and lived his entire life in the MCU and was alive that entire time, she would know, she would be married to him.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be, oh my God, it's you, young
Yeah.
Captain America. She'd been living her life with him already.
Yeah. And you could be like, oh, well, Captain America just told her to act surprised when you see younger Captain America. That way younger Captain America doesn't know.
Which is
But that's
such
just
a
like a lot
reach.
of mind. Yeah, that's a lot of things you have to come up with on your own, and not a lot of people are even going to notice it's somewhat of a plot hole. It's just us diving deep on it.
Yeah. I mean, well, no, because there's a lot of articles how
Oh,
it was
really?
like the ending scene made no sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
it was
I'm
a
not alone.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, overall, great movie. We could talk
Fantastic.
about 40 minutes just about the movie itself.
Yeah. Oh, right before that scene with Captain America happens, they go to New Asgard. Thor says, "All right, Valkyrie.
Yeah, like we said earlier.
Yeah,
you're the
you
new...
get to be the new leader." And she said, "Well, what do you do?" And he says, "Well, I have a ride, and it's the Guardians of the Galaxy ship." And we see Rocket Raccoon yell at him.
Yeah, and then you see Peter Quill a little missing the Gamora thing, like on the screen, and then he swipes it over, and they have the whole like power.
Who's the new captain?
Yeah.
It's Peter Quill. It's a good dynamic with Peter Quill and Thor.
We could talk about that with one of my questions addresses that. We could talk about it then. The first thing I want to actually analyze the movie about, since we spent 44 minutes just talking about
That's
what
all
happened. Iron Man.
Okay.
I sent Riley a long old text message about how I was actually felt happy after his death, and I felt like satisfied.
Why is that?
Well,
Because I felt like crying.
It was sad. No, don't get me wrong. I wasn't sitting there like smiling about it, but it was just like you built this character. You go out on a limb 11 years ago. Iron Man was not a popular superhero 11 years ago. Like
Not at all.
comic book fans, and like people knew who Iron Man was.
He was a B-list comic book character.
Absolutely. And you go out on a limb and you make this Iron Man movie with, I'm assuming they've always had the intent of doing a franchise. I don't know if this ending has always been the intent. They could say all they want. They wanted to do the Infinity Saga.
I mean, they set it up to make multiple movies. I don't think they could have at all predicted this.
So, you just throw it at the wall and hope it sticks. You hire a failing actor, an actor who's had drug problems.
Comes back, makes one good movie, and then you risk it on him. Were you planning on starting a franchise?
Yeah. And his whole character arc from the beginning is kind of like he always is focused on the greater good. And we got a glimpse of that when he talked to his dad, where his dad said, I hope he's nothing like me. And he makes that one comment where he's like, my own self-interests, or the greater good never gets in the way of my own self-interest, or something like that.
This is always gets in the way.
Always gets in the way, yeah. So
the greater good. So that's what his dad says. And, it shows he has that same characteristics as his dad.
So... And then, and that's what his whole character arc has been, he's had all these opportunities to settle down or, and it's always like about the greater good. And then you have this final scene. I sent this long old text message to Rye, but you have this long old scene where he's willing to give up everything he's had, his family he has, and he's willing to kill himself.
Willing to give up. Well, he now was at the beginning. He didn't want to do anything because he was content. He told the Avengers no because he had a daughter. He had a wife. He was living a normal life in a cabin.
Yeah,
and he was content, and he finally was willing to, for the greater good, to save the universe, sacrifice himself.
My text, and I think I was half asleep when I sent this. I said it was sad but brilliant storytelling. So he kicked off this franchise. He is the origin, and it's only fitting that he's the one that pays the ultimate sacrifice to save everyone. Parentheses, even though we know Galactus is coming soon. His entire character is built on the well-being of the greater good. Something his dad alluded to in that scene. Very rarely do we see original storytelling like this, where the character literally is in a franchise for 11 years and however many films, because he hasn't been in all 22, and comes full circle from his first moment to his last. It was a fitting way to put an end to the character and usher in the new phase of the MCU, likely with Spidey as the lead. They didn't drag him on too long where the character became stale and unbearable in a sense, and they didn't just write him off into the sunset. I said, as Pepper said, he could rest easy now.
I think that was it. It showed he nonstop was working. His entire character arc was the better good. He was working, trying to find a way to protect.
Yeah.
And they even said it at the beginning. When he gets back from space, he's completely malnourished and everything.
Oh,
he gets a huge argument with Captain America.
Yeah.
It's like, I said I wanted a fucking suit around the world to protect everyone, and you guys stopped me from doing that.
Yeah.
And so that was his whole thing. That's what he wanted from the beginning.
Yep. He's the one that took the nuke into
space, which, I mean, that there was like kind of a foreshadow, like he's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good.
Almost dies. And then, this time he actually does die. And it was brilliant. I mean, they didn't let the character go on too long. He died for his purpose. That's been his purpose the entire MCU. Yeah. And it's like, there's no better way to write that, I think.
I think, as heartbreaking as it was, I agree with you. It's the perfect ending for Iron Man.
You can't... I would have felt a little slighted if he lived and he just retired. Because the Iron Man character is he can't retire. He can't just be like,
that's his whole mentality. He nearly lost Pepper, I think it was Iron Man 2 or whatever, because he wouldn't stop working. She told him no more, and he just kept working.
Yeah.
At the beginning of Infinity War, he said, I'm ready to settle down, no more surprises. Someone shows up, he's Iron Man still.
And
he has to do it.
And the first thing he says, not the first thing, one of the first things he said in this movie is, I know I said no more surprises, but I thought I could pull off one last one.
Yeah.
So
it's just
his whole life he would have lived with that mindset.
Keep going.
He would have tried to fight Galactus.
He probably would have. Very fitting ending for the character that started it all was the one who helped finish that whole Infinity Saga.
Yeah, and then Cap, he had a fitting ending.
He did. He finally got to retire. Issues with that. So if we want to analyze that now.
Sure.
Captain America...
We kind of already talked about it, but are you saying something new?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Captain America goes back in time. And they're saying he lived out his entire life as a super soldier.
Okay.
With Peggy Carter.
Okay.
From the MCU and what he knows up to that point before he goes back to live out his life. He knows Bucky's alive.
Yeah.
And while he goes back in time, Bucky's being tortured by the Russians, being used to kill people.
Yeah.
He knows Hydra is in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Running all of that. And somehow Captain America decides to let all of those events happen instead of going and stopping them.
That's the issue with time travel. It's supposed to be implied where it's just like, he let it happen because he didn't want to change the future.
But that's not Captain America's So they did a great thing with Iron Man.
Yeah.
They kind of fucked up Captain America. That's who Captain America is. If something is wrong, he stands for what he believes is right.
Yeah. No
That
matter.
was Civil War. He got into it with one of his best friends, Iron Man,
Yeah.
because of what he thought was right.
Yeah.
But then they're implying he just sat on the sidelines and let everything happen to his best friend growing up.
Yeah.
You know, to S.H.I.E.L.D. People are dying. S.H.I.E.L.D., who Peggy works for.
Yeah.
You know, his wife works for this company, and Hydra's taking them over, and he just lets it happen.
Yeah.
I think that's an issue that
Yeah.
to go along with the time travel
That's
thing.
what. Yeah. The whole. I don't know. Maybe like we said, zapping them back instead of keeping them in that timeline would have been better. But it
Yeah.
is what it is. I mean.
I think it would have been better if it was different, completely different timeline. And it was the exact same thing. He gets zapped back. He's an old man, and he now has his shield. He brings his shield back with him.
Yeah.
Because it gets destroyed when he's fighting Thanos. His shield gets broken in half. But he brings back a fully new, perfect shield to get the Falcon. If he just got zapped back, brought it back, it was a whole different timeline. There would have been none of these issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
But since he showed up outside of the quantum suit thing.
Yeah. Two of my questions. It was just what's next about the other, original 6. What's next for the Guardians and Thor? Do you think Thor's going to play a role in Guardians 3?
Okay, so there's been rumors that there's going to be a Thor 4 in the works.
Yeah.
We already can confirm that there's a Guardians 3.
Yeah.
What if Thor 4
Is Guardians 3?
is Valkyrie's movie?
Oh.
Valkyrie's the new leader of Asgard. What if Thor 4, Valkyrie's the new Thor? The new God of Thunder.
I don't think she gets the God of Thunder stuff.
Whatever, she's the new leader of Asgard, and she becomes that warrior, and Thor 4 isn't actually Thor 4, it's an Asgardian.
Yeah.
And then Guardians 3 is Thor with the Guardians.
Do you think he's going to be like... But do you think he's going to be like a fighter? Or do you think he's going to be like an old wisdom guy who's just going to kind of help when he needs to, but then kind of just give
Thor
him
with the
advice?
Guardians?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be, from what is it, Taika Waititi?
Yeah.
I think with what he did with that character, and he made him such a comedic character, and then they made him fat in this movie, made him such a comedic character. I think he's going to play in good with the Guardians, and I think in 3,
I think it's going to be the search for Gamora or something.
I think it's going to be the search for Gamora, but I also think Adam Warlock's going to be in it.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be super strong, and so I think Thor's going to be kind of their equalizer against Adam Warlock, helping them search for Gamora.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to do that whole Gamora thing. Because, did the past Gamora fade in the dust? They didn't show that. They kind of left that open for interpretation.
Past Gamora?
Yeah. Did she, or did I miss it?
See, it was never shown what happened with her.
Exactly. So are they looking for her, or are they trying to find,
The
where
one that
you
got
go
killed and she came back or something, or they're trying to do time travel? I would assume 2014 Gamora stayed in present day.
Yeah, and they're trying to
And
find
they're
her.
trying to find her and rebuild their relationship type thing.
Probably. That's probably what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But
that was one thing they left open for interpretation.
And then they'll explain it in the future movies. What's next for Hulk, you think? And that's when I wrote Hot Take, didn't like Professor Hulk. Do you think he's going to be in the movies, or do you think... Because they didn't write him off or anything.
They didn't write him off, but he's damaged now. His entire right side of his body's hurt. He had his arm in a sling.
But even if they did something where they somehow separated, Banner from the Hulk... what if the snap... That would have been perfect. The snap, all the energy from the snap separated, the gamma from Bruce Banner or something.
Well, even when he goes to the Ancient One to get the stone, she does that thing where she hits his chest and he's out of body. So the Hulk is laying on the ground, but Banner's soul is the one floating.
Yeah.
They could have done it there where they separated them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I believe he's probably that was kind of them writing him off, and I could see him not showing up for 5 years. And I know somebody who can help type thing in a way future movie.
Oh, and it's a big old pop. They don't ever announce it beforehand, and then in a movie they're oh, we have someone that can help, and then Thor or Hulk comes on screen and the theater just pops.
Yeah,
old
man Professor Thor or Professor Hulk working in a lab somewhere doing something.
I don't know, we'll see. They didn't he's the only one that doesn't have any direction whatsoever, I feel out of the core.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw him get upset when Natasha died because they made that love story type thing, and they never really built on it, and then she dies and he's upset.
Yeah.
So now he doesn't have his love interest for them to even build on that.
Yeah.
His the main 3 Avengers are now gone. One's in outer space, one's dead, and one's an old man.
Yep.
I don't know what they do with him.
Exactly.
I mean,
He has
I
no
guess
direction. Even Hawkeye has direction. They're doing that Kate Bishop.
Yeah, Kate Bishop
show.
thing. I guess you could say he's now the brains Tony's dead. He's now their go-to scientist for Avengers stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, you have Shuri.
Yeah. Do you think Vision's going to come back? Well, actually, Vision is coming back, I think, because they're doing the WandaVision show.
But there was no mention of him. Everyone was speculating Shuri downloaded him or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's going to come back. Shuri was actually dead. They never, beforehand they said Shuri didn't get dusted. She didn't get her scene in Infinity War, her getting dusted.
Yeah.
So everyone assumed she was alive. Everyone was confused in the trailers thinking it was like a fake thing when it said she was missing in the trailer.
Said that in the movie, too.
Yeah, but it said it in the movie. She was actually dusted. So she
Yeah.
never did anything with Vision or anything like people were expecting.
No, because she was downloading the data before he got on the battlefield.
Yeah, but everyone was expecting in this movie for them to go to Wakanda and her to be like, her still be alive after Thanos.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, oh, well, I downloaded Vision and Vision comes back for the movie.
Yeah.
Vision's still dead.
But they're going to bring it back for the show somehow.
He'll probably
obviously.
still come back for the show, but they didn't do anything in the movie. He's still dead for Endgame.
Yeah.
Which I think is surprising. I think a lot of people expected them to build off that thing with Shuri.
Yeah.
You had another question thing you said?
I have a lot of questions.
Keep them coming.
One smaller question. How is Pepper Potts so good at kicking ass? I know she did the little scene in Iron Man 3, but she was like kicking ass.
So I think they never actually expand. That was another kind of plot hole with Iron Man 3. Is she got these superhuman powers where she's super strong. She can heal
I remember
herself.
that, yeah.
And they didn't do anything with it. And then at the beginning, you see Morgan, which is the daughter.
Yeah.
With her mom. He's like, where'd you get mommy's helmet? And it's the rescue helmet.
Yeah.
She shows up at the end and starts kicking ass with everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's implied that, hey, I made her suit. She's been training. Tony's been having her train and everything.
Yeah.
She's got the super strength that they never really picked up on or anything, but she has it.
Yeah.
So I think it's implied she's been kind of fighting. I mean, even with that, why the fuck can Tony Stark fight?
Yeah, I know.
He was just a billionaire dude who built a suit. Like,
Yeah.
he never had combat training or anything.
It's just one of those superhero things.
Yeah, it's a superhero thing. I have one for you. As of right now, two things that go along with this.
Okay.
As of right now, there's a 5-year time jump in Endgame. They are in 2023 when the movie ends.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you think the next Avenger takes place in the future, or do you think all of the movies are set kind of at the same time moving forward throughout the next 5 years our time? So there's going to be an Eternals movie that takes place in the past. There's going to be Spider-Man Homecoming that takes place, whatever. Do you think Guardians takes place at the same time and they don't move the timeline forward? They just, a bunch of stuff takes place.
It's a lot of
at the same
prequels. That would kind of suck, honestly.
And then that way they can catch up with their 5-year time jump.
That would kind of suck. But the franchise doesn't have to be in 2019. You know what I mean? Like,
it can take place whenever. I'm just saying, what do you think they're going to do with that? Because they're now 5 years ahead of real time.
That kind of makes sense. Because still, the Spider-Man Homecoming still doesn't... That's where the 5-year gap... That was one of my questions. The 5-year gap is a huge issue with Spider-Man when you're a teenager.
So...
if you're an adult and you get dusted and there's a 5-year difference between Tony and Doctor Strange, like...
doesn't matter.
That's not a big... But when you're filming a movie with high schoolers, like, if some of them survive the snap, they're going to be older. So are we just assuming that every single one of them got snapped and that's why they're all still the same age? So what if Homecoming... What if when he's on the bus and the thing comes in Infinity War, what if that's them coming back from the field trip? Like, all that happened before...
Infinity War even?
Yeah. And they do stuff like that. I doubt it too, but like...
they have to explain something because me and you were talking about it. Say someone was a senior that went to school with Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He survived the snap. Peter Parker didn't. He could be a teacher at the school, working at the school when Peter Parker comes back for Far From Home.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to explain. I do strongly think there's CGI or something going on.
Far From Home will explain it. They will have a grasp on how they're doing everything. Because if that's in the past, then we can kind of assume that all the other ones are probably going to be...
Eternals is almost confirmed for in the past. Black Widow's in the past. Far From Home supposedly picks up right after this.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, they said it picks up like almost right after Endgame.
Your theory of the movie ending at the beginning of Infinity War made so much sense, and the whole 5-year thing just throws it way off, dude.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know when. I'm assuming Guardians is gonna take place right after Endgame too. So that's 4 movies right there that they can space out to catch up with their 5-year jump. But the biggest issue is gonna be Far From Home.
Well, they usually do like 2 a year, and they got Far From Home coming out in like 3 months.
Yeah.
which is our next hype
They'll have
movie.
to fill stuff in here and there, but
I don't know. They haven't really announced anything. Like, there's been stuff like they've
been
announced stuff, but
waiting
nothing's
for
in
Endgame, I
production
think.
really. At least they haven't announced anything. The only stuff,
Doctor Strange 2 is coming out.
I know they've announced it, but I don't. When I read the other week, last week, it said nothing was in production besides Spider-Man, which is in post, and that Shang-Chi movie, which is in pre-development. Everything else has just been announced.
I don't know what they do. Do you think the Shang-Chi movie, if it is that Asian kid or something, takes place in the middle of Endgame during that 5-year thing? So another prequel, while everything's dusted and he's becoming a warrior while kind of civilization's fucked?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man.
I think they can do a lot of prequels, or they might
in that 5
have
year
to
span
in
or
that
something.
5 year to catch up to 2023. So when 2023 comes around our time, that's the next Avengers
See, but
movie or something.
I don't care if you know the Avengers is 5 years ahead of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't care either, but I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing because they already have 2 prequels set.
Or like I said before the podcast, they do the whole bullshit where the next Avengers movies are going to be in like a different timeline, where 2014 Thanos was killed, Infinity War never happened, and all the other stuff with like Tony Stark still happening. The Peter Parker scenes really when Infinity War started, like you said, on the bus, and then but they just write off, you know, Iron Man like, oh, he retired or something because
Yeah.
something stupid like that. You know what I mean? Like I would hate that, but what if they just started a new freaking timeline?
They could.
They could. That's the problem with this franchise.
They can do whatever
like,
they want.
moving forward, you know.
Yeah.
Because this was like the end of that, but then they're still trying to do more. So, I don't know, man. It's tough.
There's some shit to think about. I'm really excited for Far From Home now. I mean, this helps sets it up because they didn't explain enough, so I need to go watch that movie to figure out what's going on.
Oh, yeah. Well, you were going to go watch it regardless.
I was, but perfect planning by them.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see it. Hopefully it answers questions. It might be
It
one of those
better.
movies where it doesn't answer the question until the post-credit scene, but it has to address it in the beginning. Like, there's no way they can just pick up on this field trip. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no way. There has to be something in the beginning, you know.
There has to be a reason for everyone who just came back after being gone for 5 years goes right on a field trip.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to have to explain how civilization, you know, what if the population, you know, it got cut in half and everything went to shit? Now imagine the population just doubles instantly
Yeah.
and everything's already to shit. Like, they have so much stuff they have to do, living arrangements for fucking traffic, and,
Yeah.
you know, you see parking lots full of cars from people who died, like, around Citi Field. Like, they're going to have to clear all that out and everything. Like, there's a lot of shit they have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I mean, the Nick Fury scene kind of makes sense now in Spider-Man. It's probably going to be like, now that Tony's dead, you're the new leader. Tony always talked about you, and he always said how he wanted you to be the face
Next
Yeah.
him, basically.
So I don't know.
Well, I guess they have him, technically, like, 'cause in the comic books, he's a scientist type thing, so he could kind of help be the science mind.
Who?
Peter.
Oh,
As they go on, like, he goes through school, and then probably the third movie, he's in college or something.
yeah,
It's a 5-year thing that's fucking killing me, dude.
yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it.
I don't know.
I don't know. Do they all go back in time? I don't know. It's tough. It's what they wrote. Because they still have the... Well, did they have... Wait, so how did... Question. How did Captain America go back in time anyways? At the end of the movie?
He got the extra Pym particles from the 70s.
Oh, how many did he grab?
He
Did
got
they
like
ever say
5
that?
or 6 of them.
Maybe they used that to send Spider-Man back or
Oh,
something.
but they had to completely... In the time of Iron Man dying and Iron Man's funeral, they built an entire another like stand thing for him to go
Yeah.
back in time because they destroyed it in that battle.
Well, you can make the inference that maybe that was like a 2-3 month lapse. You know what I mean? I don't know how long
Before
it
his
takes.
funeral?
Yeah. Well, between the funeral and him going back in time. But then you just have the Infinity Stone. Well, it doesn't really matter because you're going back in time.
Well, I thought it was like at his funeral is when he went back in time to fix everything because it took place at his cabin.
Maybe, I don't know.
But I guess you're right. It could have been a jump.
Taken time, yeah. But yeah, maybe they use that in some way because it's still there. So maybe they use that in some way. I don't know how that would work at all either, though.
I don't know.
That's rough. It would have been better if they somehow prevented it and had it end at the beginning of Endgame. Or at the beginning of... Well, yeah, the beginning of Endgame.
Or even if they would have done, 1 year later. Just 1 year. That would have still been an impactful, holy shit, they've been living for a year.
Yeah.
Why? They didn't have to do 5 fucking years.
Yeah, it makes it hard, man. It makes it real hard.
I mean, I guess maybe for the story with Tony and his daughter,
Probably.
but that's probably the only reason.
It's hard. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think it just kind of goes back to our short words. Overly awesome. It was extremely ambitious. They did a lot of shit, but with doing that badass stuff, they left some plot holes that I seem to be okay with.
Yeah.
For the sake of giving the fans what they want to see. They want to see Captain America dancing. They want to see Iron Man have that send off.
It was an awesome movie. And the next movies are gonna dictate, what they do. Like they decide their own future, I guess.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if in Spider-Man they fail to explain it properly, I mean, there's always going to have huge crowds, but there might be a little bit of people who have so much Avengers burnout, and now that this is over, there might just be like, I don't want to get reinvested,
I think if it wasn't Spider-Man, it would probably flop.
Yeah.
The next movie, but I think Spider-Man's a perfect character, perfect movie to go after Endgame.
Yeah, but if they do a poor job of explaining how they're going to fix this or how the next phase is going to do, there might be
after Spider-Man.
The casuals might just, check out.
I think they're probably going to make enough money off of this movie to just pay for everything for the next 25 years. So I don't think they even care.
They broke the Star Wars Thursday, $70 million or something like that.
Yeah, it was the opening Thursday money. They've already made damn near $400 million.
Damn.
And that was just from Wednesday and Thursday from China and the United States.
I'm predicting it now that Shang-Chi movie is gonna break records, bigger than Black Panther.
I think it might break overseas records
because
global.
Not to sound racist, but if you just look at the box office, Chinese people love American culture.
Well, Chinese is the second biggest movie market.
Yeah,
they love the Avengers.
They love American culture, and now that they're seeing themselves get represented in American culture, it's gonna be huge because they love superheroes, and then it's gonna be huge.
It's the exact same thing as Black Panther.
Yeah,
African Americans love the representation. That fucking movie blew up in America, and that's gonna happen in China
in China you have 1 billion people.
Yeah, in China there's a lot more fucking people than there are in
so
America.
I wouldn't be surprised if that movie quietly does top 5 all time.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Here's a question. Do you have any more questions for me before I ask you the big question?
Let me hear the big question. You're going to throw at me.
I was going to ask you this before the movie, but it didn't really make sense. It made more sense to ask you now, and I'm just springing this on you. Does Avengers Endgame, will it go down as the best superhero movie all time over The Dark Knight?
100%.
Are you sure that's not just recency bias? Quality of movie.
So if we're saying...
Did it surpass The Dark Knight?
If we're looking at...
Because that's the standard.
That is probably the standard. If we're looking at critics and just storyline and plot, it's close. If we're looking at it as diehard comic book fan...
No, I'm talking just pure, critically a movie.
Critically a movie, I think it's close.
When it's hard.
There's plot holes and stuff. That's what it gets, it gets hard. Comic book fan, it's not even fucking close.
No, yeah, I'm not arguing that.
This is the biggest movie fucking ever for a comic book fan. It's going to be the biggest movie ever. It's going to be bigger than Star Wars and all
yeah,
of
I'm
that
not arguing
shit.
that, but...
Critically, I don't know. Because I will say Thanos isn't that good in this movie.
Yeah, he was whatever.
He's great in Infinity War, and that's why he works in this movie. But as far as being the villain, he doesn't do anything. He finds out about a plan, he blows them up and tries to kill them and just tries to snap at the end.
Yeah, but this movie wasn't really a villain-driven movie. It was more like us learning more about the protagonist. Which one's good guy? Protagonist? Antagonist?
Yeah, protagonist, I think.
Learning more about the protagonist and kind of getting a deeper...
I agree with that, but as far as critically wise, usually they need a good villain.
Yeah.
But I think they do so much with the protagonist in this movie. It's going to be close.
I mean, right now, Avengers Endgame has 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. Dark Knight finished with 94. But the rating...
But Black Panther has 97 on Rotten Tomatoes.
The rating tends to, go down. Metacritic, which is actual critics, I think, is 84 for Dark Knight.
It's 70 something.
Yeah, it was 76 or something. So... I
think it's close.
I'm going to have to rewatch The Dark Knight to answer that.
They're so different movies.
Oh, absolutely.
They're so... I mean, I know they're both superhero movies. They are so much fucking different from one another. It's not even funny. It's so hard to compare.
But in 10 years, if someone who's never seen a superhero... Well, you can't really say that because they can't really watch Endgame without watching everything else. Someone just asks, hey, what's the greatest superhero movie of all time? What's the answer going to be? Assuming none of the new ones are the answer.
I think if someone asked that question 10 years from now, it's going to be Endgame. With how many characters there are, how much fucking action there is, how much comic book stuff there is.
Well, it depends who you ask, though. If you ask one of us, you might say that. But if you ask a common casual... If you ask my dad's probably going to say The Dark Knight because he hasn't followed the MCU as closely.
But I think just with the badass action scenes and everything and the character mode, I think it is going to be Endgame.
We'll see, man. I
truly think
I enjoyed Endgame more, but I think if you ask a biased a non-biased middle of the road person, I think it'd be a lot closer.
It might be a lot closer, but
Survey
I think
100 people.
The big scale of which this movie takes place, it's not a small contained
big
story.
Doesn't always mean better.
But the way they succeeded at making such a big scale story work so well.
But we're not asking what's more enjoyable. We're just asking what's more...
Well, you're asking what's the best movie, and I think people are going to say what they enjoy the most.
Critically. You ask critics who are not going to be biased. I think you ask 100 of the world's greatest critics. I don't know how close that is.
I think it's a lot closer.
That's an interesting question.
Because critics tend to like smaller stories. I think you go out on the street, we go to downtown LA, and we just start asking people on Hollywood Boulevard 10 years from now.
It'll probably be whatever the newest superhero movie is because people just have a shit ton of recency bias.
Maybe, but...
Spider-Man 4, that was the best movie I've ever seen. I remember Mr. Brown in high school used to always talk about that, how everyone always says the best movie they've ever seen is the last one they saw in theaters.
There's a lot of recency bias, but Dark Knight's up there. They're both going to go down and be... Yeah. This is going to be so unique.
Oh, yeah, it's culturally and just the impact it is.
Nothing even has come close to it, I want to say.
Insane.
I don't think any of the Star Wars movies, which I think are probably the closest to compare to this, maybe Harry Potter as far as movies leading to one final movie.
But the difference between those and this is those are like established storyline. Like, well, Star Wars I think was all George Lucas. That all came out of his brain. But like Harry Potter was obviously a book series. Like that's still, it's like its own universe. It's like if you took Star Wars and Indiana Jones and what else is George Lucas? Jurassic Park, was that? No, that was Spielberg.
I don't know.
But it's like you took like George Lucas's movies and like you throw them in the same universe and then you have this one big payoff at the end.
Or there's episode
far-fetched.
1 is Luke's story, episode 2 is Leia's story, episode 3 is Han Solo's story.
Yeah.
Episode 4 is Star Wars, versus Darth Vader.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be more like that.
Yeah.
That's why this is going to go down in history as a huge cultural movie that's going to change cinema. It was
a lot of people would argue it might be for the worst, though.
100%. Well, already this year, box office sales are down from like the past 5-6 years. They're like the worst they've ever been.
Yeah.
And that could be because everyone's like, well, it's not fucking Endgame,
Yeah. It's just, we'll see how it affects. It's going to affect the movie landscape going forward. It's going to affect how people do things. Probably going to see more sequels. But that's the great thing is it kind of rewrote the sequel book, too. You can spin it in a positive way. Like, this isn't just sequels. These are separate movies that are their own entity that are leading into one franchise. This isn't Fast and the Furious 24.
Mm-hmm.
This is Doctor Strange being the 18th movie and Iron Man being the first. It's not Iron Man 18. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so different, and like that could help its case with sequels. The sequel argument.
Yeah, it could.
But
it's tough. It's very unique.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see if anyone can ever recreate anything like this.
I don't think it's possible. I think, honestly, Marvel's going to be able to do this. I don't think anyone's going to be able to come close to it. They've tried. Multiple studios have tried. Warner Brothers failed. Universal failed with their monsters or whatever. Godzilla shit. I think they're going to let it be, and I think everyone else is going to be Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Low budget, contained stories.
I don't know if that's low budget. I think it's just they want to make it seem like
it's
low
not
budget.
Fucking $400 million Avengers budget.
Okay, that's not low budget. Avengers is like super high budget.
I just don't think there's going to be huge blockbusters like this. I think it's going to be more smaller budget so that they know they're going to make less money but still make a profit.
Well, they're still making a shit ton of money. Shazam still made like $800 million.
Yeah,
Aquaman still made a bunch.
A lot, but those are still part of the universe even, and who knows if they're going to keep trying to build that universe.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. If for like 5 years they just have like a Shazam, Aquaman, just like everyone but Superman and Batman. Maybe that's what they need.
I think I don't know what they're trying to do with the young Batman, make a different Batman thing. Just fucking recast him. The MCU recasted Hulk.
Yeah, it's
just fucking recast him.
I think maybe part of the Justice League problem. We've talked a lot about what could be the problem. Maybe Superman and Batman are just so much bigger than everyone else in that thing, where it's like it just kind of hurts the whole. Because like look at the MCU. They started with Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Nobody. Captain America, people knew, but not huge.
You know, if the MCU started with Spider-Man and Spider-Man was the main guy, like you could make the case that eventually it's kind of like the whole team dynamic might not have worked. You know,
Yeah.
And even Spider-Man probably isn't as popular as Superman and Batman. You know what I mean? Like, just
I would
in
say
terms
those
of-
are the top 3, but I think
Yeah.
Superman and Batman are top 2.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they're just too big for Justice League, so they have to do like a Justice League without them.
That might be what they have to do.
'Cause
Bring in, Martian Manhunter and other smaller DC characters.
they can redo Green Lantern.
Yeah, bring in Green Lantern. They got Flash. They got Cyborg. Maybe do like Robin, not Batman, but bring in like a Robin character or Nightwing, Supergirl even.
Yeah,
They could do it.
they could, but
I
don't
just
know.
think nothing's gonna be even close to Endgame.
Here's a question for you:
Go for it.
Has Marvel peaked?
Yes.
That was a quick answer.
No, I
You
100.
don't think it can get better than this?
I don't think it can, because I think even
Hold
if they
on. Okay,
do
go
spend
ahead.
another 15 years building up a story, it's not as fresh and unique and new as before.
You're forgetting something. You're forgetting the X-Men. You're forgetting the Fantastic Four. You're forgetting their new properties.
X-Men's,
I know
X-Men's
it's
been done before.
but it hasn't
Fantastic
been
Four
done.
has been done before.
But it hasn't. Captain America was done before. Hulk was done before. It was all done before.
But not in a universe.
Yeah,
And
neither
not
has.
recently.
I think.
I don't think it can work
See,
as well.
Well, what if 10 years from now you got Spider-Man leading our current new group of Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, all them, and then you also throw in the Fantastic Four in the mix, and you also throw in
I
the
think
bigger
the-
X-Men, and they're fighting fucking Galactus.
I think 2 things that they might make money off of that could...
Well, they're gonna make money regardless.
I'm saying this kind of money. X-Men versus the Avengers. A bigger scale Civil War.
Oh, that would be insane. That's what they probably should build towards, not Galactus. Screw Galactus.
And a Galactus after that once they all team up.
That should be their plan then.
I think X-Men versus the Avengers, Civil War basically, but fucking bigger, and these new people versus these new Avengers.
That'd be insane.
And then Galactus they build up over 10, 15 years.
That'd be insane, especially like Deadpool in that. They probably will never put Deadpool in. We'll see, though.
They got to do something with Deadpool.
Because the PG-13 flopped. I heard people did not like the PG-13 Deadpool.
But it's not like it was a new movie.
Well, I think it was new one-liners and stuff. And
That's what I'm saying. Everyone already went and saw the rated R
Yeah.
Deadpool. If they just release a PG-13 Deadpool, that was just...
Well, they've already done the R-rated Deadpool though, which might hurt it. If they started
saying,
with a PG-13 Deadpool, I guess.
Make Deadpool's solo movies R. He's a very unique character where you can make this work fucking effortlessly.
Yeah.
Throw him in and be like, have him chop a head off screen and be like, yeah, we can't show that. It's PG-13 now.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
All you have to do. And people are still going to love Deadpool. He's still going to say his funny shit. He's going to censor himself.
Yeah. That'd be good.
It's so easy to do.
It'd be good. That'd be just... See, they could get big, Ty. I don't know if it'll ever be... Money-wise, you never know. You know what I mean? I mean, when the first Avengers came out, I remember I was like, I thought Marvel peaked then. You know what I mean?
That was big. But then that was 5 years of storytelling that continued.
Yeah.
This is 10 years of storytelling that they chopped off at an end and are going to have to reset from
But they
this
still...
point.
Well, it's not a complete reset, though, because they still have... They introduced the next phase of character. They did the smart thing and introduced the next phase.
It kind of is a complete reset. They don't have a big bad that they've been building up for, at least 7 years, I think, for
Yeah,
6
but they
or
could
7.
reset for 10 years again.
That's what I'm saying. But how many people want to get reinvested?
I don't know.
I don't think it can be as big as Endgame.
I think Avengers versus X-Men would sell pretty well.
I think it would too. I think that and Galactus are probably the only 2 things, but they're going to have to build up Galactus like they did Thanos, slowly,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
not just fucking, hey, Galactus.
Well, yeah, Thanos wasn't thrown in until the first Avengers, even.
I got a question for you.
What?
Who's the next villain in the next Avengers movie? Because it's not going to be Galactus.
Do you think there is another Avengers, like a smaller scale Avengers, before the next big... Do you think they're going to do the similar, 3 Avengers movies? Well, they did 4 pretty much, but...
It was 1, 2, and then
I'm counting...
3, 4.
I'm counting Infinity War and
Together.
Endgame together. Do you think they're going to do, another 3?
I think they
Avengers versus X-Men...
have to do
Galactus?
team-ups or something.
So the next... See, I don't know that much about actual comic book shit. You know that.
I don't know what they do as far as the next villain.
Dormammu?
I could...
Warlock? Is
I
he
mean-
really powerful enough to be like a big bad? Warlock working... Silver Surfer working for Galactus, like a Loki Thanos thing, but then you're just kind of redoing the same thing you already did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it worked. I think they could do that. I think they could pull off Silver Surfer being the next villain, and then by the end of that Avengers movie, Silver Surfer becomes a good guy, and he's like, well, I need to fucking warn you.
Yeah.
It's Galactus. I think that might work. I think Adam Warlock could be a big enough villain, but I think they're using him for Guardians 3. But who fucking knows? Maybe they completely ignore him and leave him in Guardians 2. Guardians 3, them's looking for Gamora and everything. Avengers 5 comes out. It's Adam Warlock.
Or what if they just threw that in for like an Easter egg and they never even throw him in the MCU?
That would be terrible.
Oh, that would be so bad. There's just like a nod at like the Howard the Duck cameo in one of them, but
Yeah.
just like a much bigger character.
I
Silver Surfer, maybe. I mean,
think Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock has a good chance. Maybe Eternals,
who are the Eternals?
No
I honestly
fucking clue.
don't even know. Oh,
but I know they're old, ancient beings and stuff. Oof.
wasn't okay. If your dad's hearing this, well, he probably is hearing this. He's probably gonna because we were talking about this. Didn't they confirm that Stan Lee was like an internal? Like all his cameos,
He was. It's called a
Watcher.
Watcher.
Watcher, that's what it
Yeah.
was. You're right.
Do you pick up Stanley's cameo in this one?
I remember it, but now that you're asking me now, he was like an old.
He's an old dude driving a car when they go back
the
to the
70s,
70s.
right? Yeah, yeah.
He was just driving by in a car, which they filmed before. I think, honestly, they probably should have just left his cameo in Captain Marvel as his last one.
Why?
That one was just like so... Everyone was expecting it to be something being his last cameo, and it was just nothing, really.
I'm gonna Google who will be the next villain for the Avengers.
Everyone's saying Galactus, big characters, but I don't
Yeah,
think they
who's gonna
jump
be
straight
the
into the giant
biggest
one.
one, yeah.
I think they build up first, and I think there needs to be a mini boss before you fight the
like
big
the
boss.
Silver Surfer, Annihilus.
Annihilus, okay.
That was the one where like my mini theory where maybe he comes and like fucks up the Avengers because the Earth was like, I don't know.
Oh, I think I
What?
know.
What?
I don't think he's a mini villain, but Dormammu. I think we
I said
talked about
Dormammu.
this.
I literally just said Dormammu like 5 minutes ago. King the Conqueror.
Did you say Dormammu? I didn't hear that.
When you're saying like who before I said Silver Surfer, I said Dormammu, and I was like,
I think it could 100% be Dormammu because we see Dormammu has like an army of like fucking spirits shit or whatever. I don't know, they're dark people.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he was beaten is because Doctor Strange had the time stone.
Yeah.
That is destroyed now.
Oh.
So now he can come and take over the fucking
That
Earth
would
or
be
whatever.
interesting.
And he doesn't have the tool he used to beat him the last time.
That would
And
be
just
interesting.
like Loki was a bad guy in Thor and then came and was the big bad guy, Dormammu was a bad guy in Doctor Strange and then came and being... And him and his army now come to Earth.
That would be interesting. One of these said Kingpin, which I don't...
That's fucking terrible.
They're not going to do that.
Plus, they already have the Netflix shows that connected them, so Kingpin's already a character.
I would like to see MODOK. My favorite character in the world. I don't even know what he's like from.
I think Spider-Man...
Created as a foil to Captain America.
Oh, okay.
Doctor Doom is one
Doctor
of them.
Doom could be a really good one.
King the Conqueror,
But I think they already said they have the next 5 years of the Avengers mapped out
Galactus.
without Fox or any of them.
Yeah.
So Doctor Doom would be a tough one.
Who's Doctor Doom? Like, what's his main?
Fantastic Four.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting time to be an MCU fan, that's for sure.
I will say it was fucking awesome movie.
Great movie.
Worth all the build-up. Worth all the hype.
Probably, I'm not going to see it again in theaters. Do you think you're going to see it again in theaters?
Yeah, probably. And it's a marathon. That's 3 hours of fucking movie.
Well, this time you could go pee and know that you've already seen it.
That
so
is
if you
true.
miss
I don't have
something-
to sit there and fucking kill myself so I can watch it.
Yeah.
Great movie though. Highly, highly, highly recommended if you're a wild man and listen to us talk about it and didn't go
Or
see
woman.
it. Wild person.
And yeah, if you know anyone else who has seen Avengers Endgame, which you probably do because everyone has seen it by this time, hopefully,
100%.
tell them to listen to this because I hope we're insightful and we taught you maybe a thing or two.
Yeah.
Or
Give your
we're
opinions.
just enjoyable.
If you 100% disagree with us and you hated Endgame, fucking let us know. I want to know what you didn't like about it.
So we could tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, I just want to shit talk you, but say it. Say it to my face.
All right, you got anything else, Ty?
No, that's about it, man. Great movie. Good time.
What's your out of 10 rating? I'm going to give it a 9.75. 0.25 off because of the minor plot holes.
Fuck you. I was going to say 9.7.
Really?
Yeah.
So we agree. We'll just say 9.75.
I'm going to give it 9.8.
Okay. Not perfect because of the minor plot holes, but
They overdid it a little too much.
Pretty damn close.
But it was worth it for what they overdid.
And that means they have room for improvement in the future, which means they have not peaked.
They've 100% peaked. I don't think it's possible to make a perfect movie.
Until next time, see you guys later.